there, folks. Are you passionate about democracy and concerned about the rise of authoritarianism? I'm Joanne, Kevin's wife, and I've seen him give everything to this work. That's why Coffee with Democrats matters, lifting up stories, building connections, and keeping democracy strong. So tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for 30 minutes of conversation with elected officials, candidates, and Democratic influencers, only on Coffee with Democrats. So join me in welcoming the Executive Director and host of Coffee with Democrats, my husband, Kevin Dawson.
Well, good evening and welcome to Coffee with Democrats. I have a special guest today, a very good friend of mine. I'm going to add him to the stage right now. Mitchell Jacob, running for CD4, that's Congressional District 4 for the U.S. House, currently held by Tom Cole. I'm not a fan of Tom Cole. I think that he is doing some really bad stuff by being a sycophant for Trump and not standing up. Today's a great example of some of the things that I am really disappointed in Tom Cole, and we've got to replace him with Mitchell Jacob. We've got to do some very positive things here because instead of having a news conference today after this massive having all the generals from all over the world in there and saying the things he said about going to war against our own people, and not having somebody, Tom Cole, not standing up and saying, we're not going to do this against our own people. He's complicit. And I think it's something that we cannot stand for as Oklahomans no more. We've got to get rid of our partisan feelings. And we got to start getting behind people that are interested in doing things for we, the people of Oklahoma, we, the people that are all of us together. We're not Democrats and Republicans all the time, but one thing we are all the time is we are Oklahomans. And we need to get behind being Oklahomans again and having somebody who represents us in Washington, D.C. like Mitch Jacobs. So Mitch, welcome to Coffee with Democrats. Thank you for coming on with us.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. It's great to be here tonight.
Oh, man, I went on a rant there right away, and I was like, man, my heart goes pitter-patter every time I hear my wife introduce this, and I just think that's such a great thing for her, and I just love hearing her passion whenever she starts talking about it. You know her. She's just very quiet, very in the backs, and when she said she wanted to do that, I'm like, absolutely. I loved it.
Well, I wanted to say that I'm really glad that you chose to keep doing the show, to bring it back. And I'm really glad that it's Mr. and Mrs. Dawson making it happen this time around. Well,
it's really good. It's fun. It's fun for both of us. And as you know, we had a campaign that we ran, and she was 100% supportive of that campaign that we ran. And again, we're not out of the fight. We're still in the fight, and this is my way of being in the fight with everybody else. So,
well, honestly, Kevin, I think that we're all in the fight, and I think that this administration, regardless of politics, is bringing that fight home to each and every one of us. And I think each of us has a responsibility to stand up, push back, and fight for the democracy and the Constitution that have guided this incredible country for 249 years. And I thank you for doing it.
Yeah, well, and I've got another name for the guy in charge. I'm calling him King Tut. So I'm going to bring back Steve Martin's song about King Tut, and we're going to make it appropriate for today. So, but I digress. Let's talk about Mitchell Jacob, and you're running an important campaign. I was just going to reach over. It's too far. I can't reach it. But there's a headline about Tom Cole says, I promise, I guarantee that we are not going to shut down anything in Oklahoma, that Tinker Air Force Base is still going to get all the funding, and the National Weather Service is going to get all the funding. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you go right ahead and say all you want, but King Tut's going to tell you exactly how to vote.
And that's absolutely right. And for all those families, thank you for saying that, Kevin. I just want to express to all those families who might be affected, because we now only have 4 hours for the House of Representatives and the Senate to get their act together to pass a resolution and get this government funded. And so if we don't accomplish that in the next 4 hours, then my heart goes out to the families who are going to be affected over politics instead of putting people first.
Absolutely.
And I want you to know that that is one big reason why I'm running, is because the people, you come first.
Right. Well, let's talk more about that. So let's talk about Mitch Jacob. Give us a kind of a background about yourself. And then the second question is, why are you running and why should people vote for you?
Thanks, Kevin. So I'll keep it as brief as possible, and I'll tell you a secret. My background is a little complicated.
You don't got to be in a hurry now.
My background's a little complicated, so let's go on a journey. So I'm one of 9 children born to an incredible mother, and I love her to death. She turned 60 years old this year, and I'm very proud of my upbringing. But my mother was a single mother for most of my life, and to this day, some 40 years later, she works in restaurants. And as you can imagine, growing up as one of 9 children, times could be tough, and ends were not always easily met. I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm a 4th generation Okie. I love this state, and I moved away when I was very young. When I was a child, I lived in Oklahoma, Missouri, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And then I moved back to Oklahoma to attend Union High School in 2006. But I ultimately moved away after I graduated when I went to Tulane University in New Orleans. That was in 2010. However, allowing an 18-year-old to pick a $56,000 per year private institution is perhaps one of society's greater jests. And I ultimately had to drop out of Tulane after 3 semesters because I simply couldn't afford it anymore. I could no longer secure federal loans. My work study was no longer enough to cover tuition, and I just had too many outstanding bills. So I dropped out and I moved back to Phoenix, Arizona, where I was living at the time. And when I got to Phoenix, Tulane refused to release my transcript, so I had to restart college, and I just restarted at Rio Salado Community College right there in Tempe, Arizona. At that time, I was blessed, and I was able to land a job as a mortgage loan originator selling mortgages, but that was a commission-only job. And I have to tell you, friends, I do not like sales, which is ironic that I'm running, if I'm being honest, because asking for money is a lot like sales, and I'm not a huge fan of it. Either way, I kept working through my program, and I graduated with my first associate's degree in 2016. And in that interim, from 2012 to 2016, I went from being a mortgage broker to a banker. And while I was a banker, I self-studied, and I passed and became a stockbroker. 763 registered representative specifically. Well, one day I woke up, I was 25 years old, and I realized that if I were ever going to make good on a promise that I made to myself when I was 13, and that promise was that I too would someday serve my country, then time was running out. So I was 25, and when it was 2016, and one day I just quit my job as a stockbroker, enlisted in the Army. And in January of 2017, I joined the Army to see the world as a private first class. But again, one of life's jests, because I signed up to see the world, of course, the Army sent me to Fort Sill. And I went through basic combat training right there in Lawton, Oklahoma, right here in Oklahoma's 4th Congressional District, as a matter of fact. Following that, I was assigned to, well, I guess let me back up. When I was in the Army, I was a 35 Papa or cryptologic linguist, and I was assigned to modern standard Arabic. Now, I did not speak Arabic when I joined the Army, so they had to teach me. And they sent me for 2 years, 4 months, and 19 days, but I wasn't counting, to the Presidio of Monterey in Monterey, California, to learn modern standard Arabic. But I'm also not very good at sitting still. So while I was enrolled in that Arabic program under threat of Article 15, in the evenings, I was also enrolled in my bachelor's program. And so I would do my Army, my Arabic, and then my PT, go home, eat dinner, and then I would do my bachelor's program in the evenings. I graduated with an associate's in Arabic in August of 2018. And then I ultimately graduated with my bachelor's degree in November of 2019. At that time, I was stationed in Fort Campbell, Kentucky with 5th Special Forces Group Airborne. And it's with them that I deployed just 6 weeks after I graduated with my bachelor's degree and I deployed in support of Operation Inherent Resolve to southern Syria.
Oh my.
After that deployment, I came back home and I began the process of ultimately transitioning out of the Army. And I fully transitioned off of active duty status in May of 2022.
And what was your final rank?
Sergeant E5. Thank you for
Okay.
asking. And at that time, we moved to Newcastle, Oklahoma, which is where we live today. In that August of 2022, I immediately started at the University of Oklahoma College of Law. I am a proud graduate of the OU College of Law, and I graduated just this May, 2025. And in 2 days, on October 2nd, this Thursday, I will, in a culmination of a long process, be swearing in as an attorney right here in the great state of Oklahoma. And today I use that, and I work for a public defender's office.
Awesome. Awesome.
So I am both a college dropout as well as one who has earned 4 different college degrees.
Right.
And what's missing in there, because it's hard to fit it all in, is I'm also a proud husband to an incredible wife. And we have 5 kids, and somehow, some way, my friends, they're all boys. I still don't know how that happened, but we couldn't be more proud. They range from 20, 18, 12, 6, and 2. And so basically what happens is I have 5 very different life problems on any given day.
Right.
But it's an absolute blessing.
So we've got the second part of this question we've got to cover, and I want you to go into a lot of detail. And I really want you to talk about your campaign.
Sure.
And why people in the 4th District should get behind you and support you and vote for you. So I'm gonna make a few changes on the screen here because I want everybody to see you and they don't need to concentrate on me anymore. So get a couple of things done here. There you go.
Well, I'm going to back up, and I'm actually going to answer now the second question you asked at the beginning, which is why I'm running.
Okay.
But the answer is relatively short, but the understanding takes just a second. So I'm going to go back to 2023 with you for a moment. It was late 2023. I'm still in law school, and my wife and I were sitting at the kitchen table complaining about the state of education in Oklahoma for our boys. And at that time, we were ranked 49th out of 50 in education. So what did we have to complain about, you might ask? Well, it always comes back to the same person, Ryan Walters. And we were just talking about what we were going to do to push back against the declining education system in the state of Oklahoma, because we wanted someone who would fight on behalf of our children, on behalf of the United States' greatest asset, our children, our future. And that didn't seem like it was happening. And then the conversation turned into frustration because for 4 or 5 cycles, I would have to double check, but leading up to that conversation, the only people who had run for House District 20, which is where I live here in the state of Oklahoma, were Republicans, which meant that a Republican primary kept deciding that state house race cycle after cycle. And so as I was talking to my wife, I realized that if the issue is we needed a candidate, and that's how we could get the opportunity to even cast a vote and have a ballot generated, then that was a problem that I could solve. And so though I had 5 children, though I was still in law school, I stood up and I put my name on that ballot for 2024 for Oklahoma's 20th House District, HD 20, forgive me. And I ran for office in 2024 for State House. I lost that race. But come to 2025, and initially I was still planning to run for that race. And in fact, I've already dissolved a Mitchell Jacob for State House 2026 committee because, and this is the simple answer here. Earlier this year, as many of you know, the President Donald J. Trump signed an executive order that purports to eliminate birthright citizenship. That is a galvanizing moment for me personally, because my 4 oldest boys, that directly affects them. My wife is a naturalized citizen of the United States of America from Mexico, and I could not be more proud of her journey, the years and effort and money that she put in to earning that citizenship. But that means that when my 4 oldest boys were born, that they were born to a mother who is not yet a U.S. citizen. And no one, and I mean no one, is going to tell me that my boys are not United States citizens. And so it became abundantly and increasingly clear that this administration was bent upon stripping away rights. Did you know that we fought a civil war to pass the 14th Amendment? It was written to ensure that all of those who were subjected to slavery were guaranteed citizenship in the new republic. And yet a president believes that with a single swipe of the pen that he can take back that which we fought a war over and that which has been the law for 150 years, that he can change the Constitution. And my answer is simply no. I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And it seems right now that that greatest threat is coming from within. It seems that this administration is okay with stripping away your rights. And it seems that Tom Cole is okay with not just allowing it to happen, but is choosing to be complicit in that action. And so I refuse to sit idly by. And on August 16th, I was proud to announce my candidacy for the United States Congress for Oklahoma's 4th Congressional District to represent each and every one of you. Because at the end of the day, and I can only say this so simply, you matter. This is an America for the people, by the people. And it is time that it's returned to the people. And that is my segue into the question you most recently asked me, Kevin. Why should you even care? Why should you vote for some 33-year-old nobody from Oklahoma, quite frankly? And that's a great question. And I can say that it comes back to that same basic adage. I am an Okie, a 4th generation Okie. And our youngest boy here, he's a 5th generation Okie, born right there at Norman Regional Hospital. I am one of 9 children, and my mother was a single mother for most of my life who worked in restaurants. And I know what it means to take very little and make it stretch very far. I know what it means to come up through a system of adversity, though not in the way many have experienced, but overcome those challenges nonetheless. I know what it's like for people to guess your future simply based upon your economic status, the number of siblings I had, and where I lived. And I also know what it's like for them to be completely wrong. And what I want to do is put my myriad of experiences, talents, and ultimately my hard work to work for Oklahoma, for the United States of America, and for CD4. Because I still believe in that adage, we the people. Because I'm one of you. I do not come from a life of privilege. I did not go to a private school and I had never even been to a country club. Instead, I shop at Walmart. Instead, I drive a basic model car, and I live in, as many people have said it when they come to my home, a starter home. And I couldn't be more proud of what we have accomplished in this life, because this is enough. And now it's time for me to take these experiences, this education, this work, these accolades, if you will. And what's the point of accumulating or accruing any of that if it's not to make the world around us a better place? Because I do not believe that the mark of an accomplished life is the value of your bank account. I believe that the mark of an accomplished life is how you treat and how you build and how you empower the people around you, because that's what I was taught. And that is the life I choose to lead every single day. As I said, I work for a public defender's office, and I spend many hours helping people that society has simply chosen to ignore. And that's saying it the best way I can say it. I know what it's like for people to truly struggle, but to overcome anyway. And more importantly than that, perhaps, I know what it's like to get a helping hand at the most critical moment. And I know what it's like to get nothing at that moment in which you could have used it most, and learning how to adapt and overcome anyway. You should vote for me, my friends, because I am one of you and I am here to work for you.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's an outstanding campaign and campaign pledge that you have, and I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, a friend of ours, Loretta Autry, came on, and she agrees totally with what you were talking about, and I also agree with you, and that's about Cole's silence is complicity, and again, that's another reason why he's disqualifying himself as a representative. Here he has been one of the stalwarts, and he has leadership in several committees, but again, his complicity in trying to put forward a minority of the people of the state of the entire nation in a position where they have ultimate authority over the majority is something that I think is completely irrational. And but it's all about the Republicans want to control the will of the people, and the Democrats want to do the will of the people. And he does not want the will of the people to be done. And that's in contrast to what you just talked about, how you want to, do the will of the people. And you mentioned it so many times, we the people. And I think that's one of those rallying cries that all of us need to pay attention to. We've got some other.
On that note, just briefly, I wanted to say this to Mr. Cole. I thank you, and I thank him for 18 years of incredible service, because I do believe that he pushed forward bills, ideas, and in many ways led in an incredible way for 18 years. But these last 5 years, since he voted against certifying the 2020 results, since he voted against the bipartisan committee to investigate January 6th and insurrection, and so many votes since then, that's where my issue stems. And that's why I believe that it's time for Tom Cole to retire, because he no longer represents the will of the people, and instead he's doing what it takes to hold his power.
Correct. I'm going to pull up here something that I think is very important for people, and it should have all three of us, or all three of these things up here on the stage at the same time. But this is your website. We need to talk a little bit about your website, because it's really important. People need to be able to know where to go to find out more about Mitchell Jacob, and it's very simple. It's right there in front of you, folks. MitchellJacob.com. Couldn't be easier than that. So go to MitchellJacob.com, and then there's something that I learned throughout the last few years that I really want to push forward. Mitch cannot do this by himself. Folks, we need your help to help Mitch accomplish the goals, to represent us. He's not going to go up there to represent Mitch and his family solely just for them. There's a promise that I want out of every one of the legislators, is they're not going to go up there and start getting rich off the stock market because of insider trading, like we're seeing from all the rest of the people that represent Oklahoma. I want people to go up there and represent us solely because they're there to, because of their heart and their drive and their emotions. In order to do that, you're going to have to be able to donate money to help them get that accomplished. So over on the side, on the right-hand side, a little black button over there says donate. So go to this donate button, and it's very easy. Gives you all the information that you want. Yeah, I shouldn't have put that up there to show everybody my stuff, but it's there anyway. And let's continue to do what we can to support Mitchell Jacob and make sure Mitch has the ability to gain all of the necessary equipment. Folks, Tom Cole is coming with a war chest. He's going to fight dirty. He's going to bring up every stick of dirt about all of the candidates that are running as Democrats. That is the way he did it in the past. That's the way he's always done it. And he thinks that the only way to accomplish anything in life is by demeaning and cutting down other people. And we've got to go above and beyond that. Like Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we got to go high. And Mitch Jacobs is going to be that person that's going to go high. So, folks, I want to make sure that you know about how to go to Mitch's website. I've also you've got a Facebook page. You've got other pages too. I think there's links to that in your web page so that everybody can follow you, because it's so important. Because as you move forward in your campaign, people have to be able to communicate with you. Just like what we have here, there's comment section on this down below. Please provide us with your comments. Mitch and I will monitor those over the next few days. And if you have questions for Mitch, be sure and put them in there. If you want to go directly to Mitch, go to his website. It gives a place there for him to be able to
I'll do one better than that, Kevin. 405-407-6975 or mitch@mitchelljacob.com. I try to keep it simple. You can call me, text me, email me, let me know how I can represent you. And if I could, for just one moment, Kevin.
Certainly, we got plenty of time.
At the top of the website, there was a way to sign up for the email. We send an email out once per week on Tuesdays. And this one that went out today, last week, I made it to, 6 or 7 different events, cultural, college, speaking, etc. And it was just a recap of all those events. There's ways to sign up to volunteer, to donate, to ask for a yard sign, and so much more. And I wanted to give a quick update to everyone watching because I'm so thrilled. And there's also a blog where I post every Sunday about an issue that's very important to me. And you can keep up with that and read exactly what I think. It's called Straight from Mitch. But something really exciting and where your contribution is going to go right now, what it's going to help with. One, we just received word on Saturday officially that we are good to go on a campaign headquarters. And I'm just going to write a check. In fact, I put $22,500 from my retirement into this campaign because I truly believe that you deserve something better than what you've been getting. And I could use your help because we're about to write a $7,200 check to pay for that campaign headquarters through the election, because I want a place for volunteers to go no matter what. And on top of that, we just tested, and this Sunday we'll go live. Join us on Sunday for our first full live phone bank that's going to hopefully be going permanent and daily once that headquarters is open. And the reason we're asking for contributions is because it's also expensive to get the check for the space, to pay for the phone banking and the text banking, the tablets and the laptops and the tables and the chairs. It all costs money. And we want to reach as many people as possible. For those who don't know, a congressional district is represented by comprised of about 800,000 people. It's an incredible number of phone calls, doors to knock, pieces of literature to print, texts to send, just so much work to do. And that's where your money is going to go right now.
Well, I appreciate you coming on to Coffee with Democrats. And I was just getting ready to say that all the ways that Mitch just discussed about, helping him with his campaign, whether it be volunteer, whether it be financial, what I'd like to refer to as your treasure or your time. We need your help because, we've really got to work very hard to make sure that Tom Cole is retired, just like what Mitch had talked about earlier. And then lastly, Mitch, you're going to have a big fight with finances coming from Tom Cole. Last I heard, he's got a $3 million war chest.
$3 million cash on hand, and we'll see what he's raised this quarter that ends tonight when he files here soon.
Right. So, that means, folks, we've got to get out and we've really got to do things. A couple of things that you're going to see out of Tom Cole very in the near future. I'm looking for the same kind of dark money that's going to support his campaign, that's supporting Kevin Stitt, who knows what that guy has plans for. But this, thank you, Kevin Stitt, for demeaning people that we don't like. I just, I'm really disappointed in that, but I digress. Folks, we've got a big deal coming up with Coffee with Democrats next week. We've got Brandon Wade, who is running for Congress in Congressional District 2, I believe it is. Then we've got Chris Fowler. We're going to stick with the side where we're going to talk about veterans and veteran problems with him. And then we're going to have Chris May on just shortly after that. We're going to try to get Andy Fugate back on. And then coming up November 11th, we've got a big name coming back on the Coffee with Democrats. She's been on before, and this is Nikki Freed, who is the state chair for the state of Florida. And we're going to be able to figure out how we can help or how they can help us from the state of Florida and kind of cooperate with that, because this DeSantos character that's down there isn't any better than our Kevin Stitt. So we've got to be able to figure out how to get rid of both of those people. But folks, thanks for coming on Coffee with Democrats. We went a few seconds long, but we appreciate you coming on and listening to us. And again, if you have comments, put them down below. And until the next time, next week, 7 o'clock on Tuesday evening, Central Time, we look forward to having more conversations in the future. And again, come back and watch us. We appreciate everybody. And thanks again.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, everyone.